If you're guilty of massive amounts of misinformation and disinformation as a part of a propaganda campaign.
Attorney General Pam Bondi has directed federal prosecutors to launch a grand jury investigation into members of the Obama administration over the 2016 Russia investigation.
A lot of them are guilty of it.
Yeah.
A lot of the people that are in that White House press conference, a lot of the organizations they work for, distributed absolute lies.
Total lies.
Tulsi Gabbard declassified documents that she says shows Obama administration officials manufactured intelligence to make it look like Russia interfered in the 2016 election.
How many of them during the whole Russiagate thing?
Some people think that the Russia thing was real.
Yeah,
Still.
I
mean, the whole Steele dossier where it was like completely concocted.
Funded by the Clinton campaign.
Correct.
Smooth speeches, flawless delivery, and a polished image crumble under Joe Rogan's relentless scrutiny as he tears through the carefully crafted facade, using sharp wit and precision to expose the scripted politics, strategic disappearances, and celebrity-style branding that captivated millions, revealing every calculated pause and curated moment as mere performance art masquerading as leadership, delivering not admiration but a ruthless unmasking of a master marketer in a presidential suit.
It's a volume and go full screen.
What you know now, do you wish you had a third term? You know what, if I could make an arrangement where I had a stand-in, a front man or front woman, and they had an earpiece in, and I was just in my basement in my sweats looking through the stuff, and then I could sort of deliver the lines, but somebody else was doing all the talking and ceremony, I'd be fine with that.
We know he wasn't really running the country.
Yeah.
We used to think he was actually running the country, and now they're like, no, he didn't even see those executive orders. That was all auto.
Barack Obama has turned every public appearance into a cinematic monologue, but Joe Rogan cuts through that carefully crafted image, revealing a man who speaks like a philosopher yet moves like a brand ambassador, orchestrating every pause, lowered voice, and subtle gesture. What seems like leadership is exposed as nothing more than performance art in a suit. A theater student lost in the Oval Office.
Here in the United States, countless publications provoke offense. Like me, the majority of Americans are Christian, and yet we do not ban blasphemy against our most sacred beliefs.
He doesn't give a... They're just going for it.
As president of our country and commander-in-chief of our military, I accept that people are going to call me awful things every day, and I will always defend their right to do so.
Flat out lie.
Efforts to restrict speech can quickly become a tool to silence critics and oppress minorities. We do so because, given the power of faith in our lives, the strongest weapon against hateful...
The former president has mastered the art of being everything to everyone while standing firmly for as little as possible. One day he's the cool, relatable dad figure. The next, he's an untouchable statesman, and sometimes he's both in the same sentence. It's a juggling act that has kept his fan base hypnotized for over a decade. Rogan tears into that duality, mocking how Obama can talk for hours about change and progress, yet somehow still make everything sound like a college brochure that's been rewritten to avoid offending anyone.
The accusation, they're throwing around the word treason.
I hate to say this, but President Barack Obama, there is now incontrovertible evidence that he was the spearhead of a seditious conspiracy to subvert the will of the American people and overthrow the United States government back in 2016.
They're saying that Obama knew that Russia did not meddle in the election, did not have any impact in the election.
Joe Rogan digs deepest into the cult of personality surrounding Obama, revealing how people treat him as if he could single-handedly fix the economy with a loosened tie. While the reality is far less glamorous, behind the flawless delivery and perfect smile is just a politician playing the same game as everyone else, only with better lighting and a curated playlist. And Rogan emphasizes that charisma isn't policy and charm doesn't solve problems. Yet Obama's greatest trick has been convincing people that it does.
Obama, during this Kamala Harris administration, it changed my opinion of that guy.
I don't understand how we got so toxic, so divided, and so bitter.
He said he wanted generals like Adolf Hitler had. Donald Trump said that.
Did you have a high opinion of him before?
Yeah, I did just as an intelligent person, a statesman. He's probably like caught up in the system. It's very difficult to make real meaningful change. You think you're going to do something and then you get into office and you're like, oh God, what a quagmire this place is. But watching him just straight up lie about Trump.
The childish nicknames, the crazy conspiracy theories, this weird obsession with crowd sizes.
The thing that got me was that very fine people thing, the white supremacist thing. They just kept trying to say that he was a racist.
When he's not complaining, he's trying to sell you stuff. You're running for president and you're hawking merchandise. Gold sneakers, $100,000 watch. Why are you selling the watch? What are you doing?
Which is this thing that I think worked in like 2017. I don't think it works anymore. I don't think people believe it anymore. We've gotten numb to all.
Rogan zeroes in on Obama's post-presidency glow-up, showing how, unlike most former presidents who fade into memoirs and golf, he has transformed his after years into a luxury lifestyle brand filled with Netflix productions, Spotify, playlists, and speaking tours with ticket prices high enough to fund a small country's healthcare. And Rogan tears apart the notion that this is about public service, revealing a man cashing in on the myth he built in office with the precision and flair of a Silicon Valley CEO launching a new app.
Absolutely must hold every one of these criminals accountable for the crimes that they committed. They are the most heinous crimes committed in American history.
But yet promoted this idea.
James Comey, John Brennan, Clapper, Rice, Biden was in the meeting. They briefed Barack Obama on Hillary Clinton's plan to, quote, tie Trump to Russia collusion lies. It consumed our national discourse for 5 years.
And then there's been some incredible clips of all these different news reporters, CNN and MSNBC, just saying over and over and over again, clear evidence of Russian collusion.
Obama's fans cling to his speeches like comfort food, overlooking that much of his presidency was a masterclass in strategic inaction. But Rogan exposes this, pointing out that while Obama sold hope, he perfected political fence-sitting, inspiring people into a coma of passivity, sparing no mercy. Rogan critiques his obsession with being the cool president, showing how every basketball game and celebrity hangout was calculated to project effortless charm, allowing him to discuss war, economic collapse, or national crises and make it sound like a college graduation speech. A talent, yes, but also a clever dodge.
You look at the policies and the attacks on whistleblowers and drone strikes and all the other shit that happened during that administration and the coup in Russia. And like, there's a lot that's, from a foreign policy perspective, that's very similar to what George Bush was doing. But what they were doing was highlighting social justice issues that came about during his administration, largely obscured the fact that the foreign policies were very similar to what George Bush was.
Rogan compares Obama to a stand-up comic who tells a 20-minute story, earns applause, but never delivers a punchline, leaving the crowd entertained but empty-handed. And he mocks the image of Obama as a unifier, showing that while the country remained divided, slick marketing made it seem like he was holding the nation together, much like crediting a mall Santa for saving Christmas amid retail chaos. The illusion works because Obama's delivery is smooth and comforting, yet he warns about political corruption while swimming in the same swamp, performing what Rogan dubs a political yoga routine. Extreme flexibility in morals and positions, always ending with a bow to the camera.
Is what Obama said on the same video, there is what Trump actually said. It's disgusting. It's a disgusting lie. And he's talking about George Washington. He said George Washington had slaves. Let's play it.
On both sides of a white supremacist rally.
Had some very bad people in that group. But you also had people that were very fine people on both sides. You had people in that group that were there to protest the taking down a very, very important statue from Robert E. Lee to another name. Was George Washington a slave owner? So will George Washington now lose his status? Excuse me, how about Thomas Jefferson? Are we going to take down the statue? Because he was a major slave owner. And I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, because they should be condemned.
Rogan skewers Obama's Netflix empire, mocking the idea that these glossy productions are meant to inform or inspire, revealing them as PR tools keeping the brand alive. Like a musician selling greatest hits long after the music stopped, he highlights that when a political figure controls their storytelling platform, history becomes propaganda with a polished soundtrack, and he lands hard on Obama's obsession with legacy, showing how every interview, documentary, and public appearance is a carefully timed brushstroke on a self-portrait meant for the Hall of Great Leaders, executed with media savvy more fitting for a Kardashian than a former president. yet effective because Obama knows his audience and plays them like a finely tuned instrument.
Is that the 2011 thing where Obama allowed people to use propaganda against United States citizens?
Hillary Clinton is and has been an outstanding public servant.
What was done then under Obama, effective repeal of it, was called the Smith Modernization Act.
She was a great Secretary of State for me.
At the time, the media and media control was seen as the linchpin crux of winning the Cold War, piping in pro-U.S. media influence.
Policy of my administration is to encourage transparency. Why my emails, the BlackBerry that I carry around, all those records are available.
Congress recognized the Frankensteinian monster they were creating by authorizing a covert, permanent Department of Dirty Tricks, and this is their phrase, not mine.
Hillary has instructed those emails that had to do with official business need to be disclosed.
To infiltrate and co-opt the universities, the unions, the media, the politicians, the judges, the whole swarm.
Highlights Obama's selective activism, comparing it to an influencer picking brand deals that perfectly align with his image and carry zero risk, noting that true leadership requires taking uncomfortable stance, a lane Obama rarely enters. He also critiques the celebrity friendships, showing how Obama surrounds himself with Hollywood elites to create an illusion of being in touch while living in a bubble more insulated than most royal families. And he exposes the absurdity of claiming to speak for everyday Americans while spending weekends on private islands with billionaires, proving that relatability is hard to sell when life looks like a Vanity Fair photo spread.
No. It's amazing. He gets a glass of Flint tap water, and I swear to God, he drinks it like this. Watch this.
Can I get some water? I really did need a glass of water. This is not a stunt.
Usually when something isn't a stunt, you have to say
it's
that.
It's 100% a stunt. When was the last time a president stopped a speech to ask, can I get a glass of water? They would never do that. They would have water ready.
Rogan's roast targets not just Obama's politics, but the entire brand he's built. The tailored suits, balanced tone, curated playlists, all designed to sell a feeling rather than reality. A nostalgia for an America that existed mostly in speeches and slogans. While effective as marketing, Rogan emphasizes that nostalgia doesn't pay bills or fix problems, revealing Obama not as a flawless orator or beacon of hope, but as a skilled performer who turned politics into a personal franchise. And he warns that every carefully planned move from here on only fuels the fire Rogan has already ignited, keeping the performance and the takedown in full swing.
Candid conversations with Tulsi Gabbard about what it was like.
It's a disservice to the American people that former President Obama's office and others who are criticizing the transparency that is being delivered by releasing these documents. They are doing a disservice to the American people and trying to deflect away from their culpability in what is a historic scandal.
She's a person, tries to be friends with everybody, tries to reach across the aisle. She's got that whole aloha.
Rogan digs into the theater of Obama's post-presidency, mocking the absurdity of a man who once commanded the world stage, now moonlighting as a streaming service content creator, where every project feels less like a cultural contribution and more like brand expansion, with safe topics, polished tones, and flattering narratives, like a greatest hits tour where the hero conveniently resembles the executive producer and fans just crave nostalgia. And Rogan exposes the delusion that this is civic engagement when it's really about keeping the Obama brand in the premium tier.
Like when Obama was president, worst they could get on him is, remember when he wore that tan suit?
Why did you take issue with the suit?
Because you know the image makers in the White House. Here's a president coming out at such a serious moment where he should be addressing the country on such a serious matter, and he looked like he was on his way to a party at the Hamptons.
He never had a single moment publicly where he stumbled, where he said something really stupid. This is insane.
Rogan critiques the merchandising of Obama's ideals, showing how every book, podcast, and production carries a market-tested tone of moral authority, turning leadership into a product line with an audience that feels patriotic for buying in while the seller collects bigger checks and a shinier legacy. He highlights Obama's strategic invisibility during messy political moments, only reappearing with perfectly framed presence that makes headlines without controversy, likening it to a pop star dropping a surprise single to stay relevant, proving that the performance art cycle never ends. And Rogan makes clear that the act is still running strong.